Welcome to the Art of Precision on Gillette World Sport. Coming up today, we're hitting the rapids with extreme kayaker Sam Sutton. Revving up at round 10 of the Superbike World Championship. And sprint training with para-athlete Johannes Floors.
I can't remember my best races. You are just too focused on running.
First up, we're in New Zealand, training for this year's Adidas Sickline Extreme Kayak World Championship with three-time champion Sam Sutton.
So the Adidas Sickline is the Extreme Kayak World Championship, and it's a time-trialled race. It's about a minute long, the final section, and it's over a really challenging piece of white water. It's all about having the best lines, the fastest kayaker, and the best overall kayaker should really come out on top. The Sickline World Championships has been set on the same course every year in Austria in the Ötztal Valley. It's called the Wallerbrucker section. The reason for it being in that one location is basically it's really hard to find a rapid that's logistically easy to set up a World Championship on, and that you're going to have reliable water, because a lot of the rivers could be rain-fed or snow-fed, and this one's glacial-fed, so you get a really consistent water level. The little details for the Sickline World Championship are very important. There's things that you don't really realise as the viewer watching. We're trying to push the nose down of the kayak so it uses the shape of the underside to help accelerate it. Just like tiny things that probably not a lot of the field are doing, but the top guys have definitely got it in their head. You don't tell any of those secrets to anybody though. So it's been going for 8 years. And so far I've managed to make the final every year, and I've been on the podium 6 years, and I've won it 3 times. I managed to win 3 times in a row, and then I haven't been able to climb back on there yet.
2016 saw the closest competition ever, and with Sutton the last to race, he only needed to beat the time set by Spain's Aniol Sarasoles to win.
Sam always manages to build through the event, saving his best till last. He'll be hoping to do the same again today. Beautiful line through the Champions Killer. Now attention turns to the stopwatch, putting on the afterburners. Is it going to be enough to take Aniol? It's, oh my goodness, 0.01 of a second. Can you believe it?
I was pretty pleased with my performance. I managed to win every single round, and then in the final I just kind of clipped a rock going through, and that kind of slowed me down, and I lost by 1/100th of a second, but I lost to Aniol, who is a very deserving paddler, so it wasn't too bad.
As he prepares to return to Austria to challenge for the much sought-after title yet again in October this year, Sutton has been putting in the hours of training in more peaceful surroundings on the Okura River in New Zealand.
Okura Falls is an amazing place for a training ground. I mean, there's probably about 10 kayakers every morning that are up on the river at 6:30 doing race runs, so it's the best place to really compare yourself. And if you can win here, you could probably win the World Championship, so it's quite a high level of talent here. For the competition, it's only a minute long, so it is about sprinting. So basically my training is just, I do a lot of attainments, and that's sprinting back up the river, because it's good for my mental ability. I'm not really disciplined enough to like go out and just slog it out. So if I had to paddle upstream, you have to have those short bursts of real intense high paddle stroke rate. So that's kind of the main training that we do. But I mean, all of us are kayaking so many times a day and every day of every week basically, and so that's what I think is the best training, is just spending time in your boat and learning how it works. Racing is one element of kayaking that I really enjoy, but the main element I really love about kayaking is the fact that it's going to take you somewhere in the world that you've never heard of, never dreamt of ever going, and you find a river and you go to that place. Next up on my kind of radar is I would love to go to Hawaii. It looks like a paradise and I want to see if there's any whitewater paradises left on those islands. And my biggest dream is actually to buy a motorbike, start in Asia, put a kayak on the back, tow my kayak from Asia to Europe and just see what I find. That is my dream. So I'm working towards that.
It's destination Portugal now for round 10 of the Superbike World Championship.
For round 10 of 13, the series headed to the Portimao circuit in southern Portugal for the first time since 2015. Going into the weekend's racing, series leader Jonathan Rea had a 70-point lead at the top of the standings and was looking to open up the points gap even more on his quest for an unprecedented third straight championship. In dramatic scenes, the action was over for Rea's teammate and nearest rival Tom Sykes before official racing even began. A tough crash during free practice saw him suffering a dislocated finger and subsequently undergoing surgery on his hand and left wrist in Barcelona. Though the Kawasaki was damaged, the 2013 Superbike World Champion is expected to make a quick recovery, but the crash left him out of action for the weekend. And so to the racing. Race 1 was dominated by Jonathan Rea as he shot away from pole position and quickly built up an unbridgeable lead at the front. After a crash in qualifying, Welshman Chaz Davies also rode well, coming from 9th on the grid to eventually take second place, beating Ducati teammate Marco Melandri across the finish line by just under 4 seconds. The victory meant Rea ended the first day enjoying a 95-point lead at the head of the standings. Race 2 began much closer, with Rea starting from 9th on the grid, but after only one lap, the Northern Irishman was once again working his way to the front.
Good move there from Rea. He can just put that bike where he needs it to be. You can see Chaz Davies has gotten through on Michael van der Mark as well. The gap between Davis and Rea is around about 1.5 seconds right now. Davis needs to make this quick progress on Eugene Laverty as well.
Despite a strong comeback the previous day, any threat posed by Ducati's Chaz Davies came to an end with 3 laps remaining.
Just 1.5 corners to go before Jonathan Rea takes yet another victory here. He starts patting the bike before he's even through turn 15. The hand goes back on the bar as he comes across the line. Another incredible victory for the green machine. Jonathan Rea is on top of the world yet again here in Portimao. A big wheelie across the line as he pumps his fist.
Now 120 points ahead overall, this marked another significant victory for Rea as he edges ever closer to a third successive title.
Next up, we're headed to Germany to join triple para-athletics world champion Johannes Floors in a sprint training session.
I'm Johannes Floors. I'm 22 years old. I'm competing in the 400 and the 200 meters, and I achieved the gold medal in the Rio Paralympics with our relay, and I'm a triple gold medalist from our World Championships 2017 in London. When I first got my blades, with end of 2013, I just trained to get fitter and train for triathlon for my school, and I just noticed, hey, it's making fun, and I got in contact with the club Bayer Leverkusen, and it just started going on and on. Got my daily prosthetic legs and my running blades, and with my daily legs I can walk normally, but I can't sprint, because they are used to normal walking, and the energy absorption is just too high to sprint, and it takes too much energy. That's why the blades were designed. They give you a good amount of energy back, and like sprinting, you do it on your toes, so that's why you don't need to heel. Well, it takes a lot to get used to blades. At first it's something in between jumping and running, like kind of jumping steps, because it's a bouncy effect. But as you get into training, the speed is increasing, and this is what makes the fun out of it. I trained a lot last year. We increased a lot of my training, changed coach, and I think everything has a point to my success nowadays. Well, the warming up is to warm up the whole body, to warm up the muscles, so you don't get hurt and injured while training. And the stretching is to get everything a bit loose and get away the tightness from the last training. We do the core stability exercises because due to the blades, we don't have the ankles which absorbs energy. So every energy is going into your hips and your lower back. And this has to be really stable to not get hurt. Well, it needs a lot of training to have a consistency in training and consistency in sprinting, especially if you're running the 400. At one point you get sore and the laxity is coming through your body, and you need to keep it steady even in the last 100 meters. As a 400-meter runner, the 200 is a sprint for me, so I can sprint it completely through. And the 400 is more a tactical race sometimes. You have to look what is your rival doing and adapt to it. But while adapting, you still have to do your own race. I can't remember my best races. If you can't remember your race, you are just too focused on running, and you won't remember the crowd or what you did. I think it just comes to the race, to focus on your own and don't get irritated by the others, what they are doing and how they are racing. My next goal is the Paralympics 2020. Of course, everyone wants to win a Paralympic gold medal, so that's my aim too. And on this way, we have to focus a bit on endurance and, of course, on the running technique. The feeling of racing is awesome. I've never felt the speed from amputation, and it's just awesome to feel the energy you get out of your muscles, your body, and what you work for. And then you've got an amazing crowd who cheers on you, and this pushes you even more. Well, you've got your first look into the stadium and see the thousands of people cheering and wanting you to race and wanting to watch you, and this just feels amazing. And your heart rate goes up and up, and then you come to the starting line and to the blocks, set your blocks up, and this is the moment where you have to focus and to clear your mind and just listen to the signals and then react as fast as possible.
Still to come, we're at the inaugural British Triathlon Mixed Relay Cup in Nottingham and at the penultimate Red Bull Air Race in Germany. Welcome back to Gillette World Sport. Coming up, we're taking to the skies for the latest Red Bull Air Race. And we're swimming, cycling, and running at a brand new triathlon event. Next, we're taking off at the famous Lausitzring racetrack in Germany for the penultimate race of the 2017 Red Bull Air Race World Championship.
With 6 races down and 2 to go, everything was still to play for, with the top 4 pilots in this year's Red Bull Air Race World Championship separated by only 10 points. The first land-based track of the season presented a more technical challenge, and after incredibly close qualifying rounds, Australia's Matt Hall was the first of the final 4 to fly.
1:99 into gates 2-3. Important to get the line tight and smooth here.
Looks good, Sutton, and I think that start was very disciplined, even with the really quick entry. It's looking good. That's a great pull-up point for the VTM, and I love this. I know I've said it before, I love the technique he uses there, and he just gets level before the end of the first lap. That's a great time. Sub 25, this is Matt Hall on fire.
Matt Hall is right on the money here. Not easy flying first in the last round of the day, but he's really looking to turn the screw and put the pressure on the 3 that will follow him, coming into the final VTM.
brilliant, absolutely brilliant flying, so clean. The vertical turning manoeuvre pull-up point was excellent, and his actual execution is superb.
That is a good time for Matt Hall.
Japan's Yoshi Moroya was second to fly, attempting to beat the time set by Matt Hall.
Looks good, he's got good timing there, and he was level nicely before gate 3. Oh, looked a little high there in gate 4. That started, I think, with a little bit of a climb after gate 3. Has to be very careful there. Here comes the first vertical turning manoeuvre, squeezing it around there. The G looks good. The ghost plane of Matt Hall looks as though he's trailing a little bit. It's really, really tight.
2 green lights from 2 split times from Moroya. He's ahead of Matt Hall. Can he keep the energy? Can he find a rhythm as he heads into the chicane for the last time? He's clearly ahead of the Australian.
Fantastic flying from Yoshi, very neat, although some of the gates are right on the limit. Great pull-up point for this last VTM.
Moroya looking to take the lead from Matt Hall, looking to put the pressure on Shonka, and Japan are back into the race for the World Championship.
Next out of the blocks was Spain's Juan Valade. After a good start, he picked up a penalty at gate 11 for incorrect level flying. That 2-second penalty put an end to his hopes as he finished with a time of 53.68 seconds. And so all eyes turned to championship leader Martin Schonka, who in front of a large crowd of fans was favourite for the win.
Ideal start speed, the ghost plane of Yoshi Moroya there, just showing slightly ahead of Martin as he goes through the chicane. Good rhythm through gate 6. Now the first all-important vertical turning manoeuvre. Pull-up point looked good. It could have been a bit earlier, I think, as he comes round to the end of the first lap.
Watch for the split time at the end of lap 1. The light stays red. He's 0.3 of a second off the pace. Shonka needs to find something really quite special here now, Paul.
Does need to pick this up, doesn't he? Because there's a danger he might be third at this rate. But if this is smooth, it's clean flying, that's what it's got to be. He mustn't make a mistake. More importantly, he mustn't get DQ'd. A very late pull-up. Look at the bump in the smoke. It's in the gate.
Shonka has not got the better of Moroya here. Japan have won round 7, and Shonka 59.64, 0.5 off the pace. He's gone into third. It is Yoshi Moroya that wins in Germany.
The Lausitz Ring results mean Moroya is now only 4 points behind Schonka in the overall standings, and so the final stop in the USA will be crucial.
Finally this week, we take in the action at the Accenture British Triathlon Mixed Relay Cup Nottingham.
The inaugural event saw Britain's best triathletes alongside international stars racing in front of thousands of spectators and a sold-out grandstand. 68 elite triathletes, including 5 Olympians, lined up on Nottingham's Victoria embankment, all hoping to be the first to lift the cup. The course would see each team member complete a mini triathlon, a 300-metre swim, 7.5-kilometre cycle and a 1.5-kilometre run, with all teams consisting of 2 men and 2 women, the women on legs 1 and 3 and the men taking 2 and 4. The deep water start saw Japan's Fuka Seiga taking an early lead and becoming the first to exit the water into the first transition. She also led into the bike, but Canada was soon jostling for pole position along with British teams leads 1 and 2 and Loughborough 1 and 2. By the time they reached the dismount line, former ITU Triathlon World Champion Non Stamford of Leeds 1 was in the lead and remained so until the 18-minute mark when Georgia Taylor-Brown picked up the pace to overtake her. As they approached the first changeover, Taylor-Brown had extended her lead considerably to give teammate Aaron Royal a head start for his swim. Australian Royal maintained his advantage throughout the bike leg and into the run, but the Rio 2016 Olympian Gordon Benson of the second Leeds team was quickly gaining ground.
We've got the chasers on him. That big gap that he opened, down to nothing now.
As they approached the second transition, Benson and Canada's Matt Sharp opened up the gap to give their teams an advantage going into the swim. Lucy Hall maintained the lead for Leeds 2 throughout her swim and into the bike, but the gap soon closed up.
Lucy's tactics with this particular group have to be to do as little work as possible to save her legs.
As they entered the transition, the lead group of 4 were over a minute ahead of the chase group, and it seemed the 3 podium places would be a 4-way battle. The run saw Jess Learmonth of Leeds 1 and Paula Finley of Canada breaking away at the front as they approached the final changeover.
Oh my goodness me, Tom Bishop is absolutely so excited.
This is going to be a cracking 15 minutes watching these guys duke it out.
The swim was neck and neck, with Tom Bishop of Leeds 1 emerging out of the water just ahead of Canada's Jeremy Brion and the 2016 Junior Triathlon bronze medalist Ben Dijkstra, who brought his team back into contention with a strong swim.
It is a cool discipline. It is the important part of triathlon. Can't afford to let anything down. Tom Bishop leads.
Bishop's bike leg saw him extending his lead further, and after maintaining his power throughout the run, he made the team's victory a certainty. A 33-second lead meant he could enjoy the final metres through the grandstand, crossing the line and taking first place for Leeds 1, with Dijkstra finishing in second place for Loughborough 1, followed by Canada in third. All 17 teams will hope to have used this event to hone their tactics in the build-up to Tokyo 2020, where the mixed relay format will make its Olympic debut.
Next time, we drop in with scooter world champion Dante Hutchinson. Take on the Super Boulder at this year's Adidas Rockstars. And get an inside look at world-leading horse jumping facilities in Valkenswaard. In the meantime, if you can't wait until then, follow World Sport on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Here you can relive the action from today's show and catch up with exclusive online content.